Our next guest, speaking of inside looks, is still trying to figure out a plan B for her business. She says Trump's latest tariff moves have her exploring all kinds of options, including maybe shutting things down altogether. Let's bring in Megan Lamothe. She's Lamothe? Lamothe, thank you. She's the CEO and founder of the women's golf apparel brand Foray Golf. Megan, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
You've got a lot of different exposure points here, but top level, you make stuff, I imagine, internationally. You have to bring it here. Tell us the impact so far of what's all been going on.
Yeah, we do. I mean, last year, I'm really proud. We have an amazing women-owned factory here, actually just down the road from you all here in New Jersey. Last year, we made about 40% of our goods here. But truly, when we look at sourcing, we have to go where capabilities are a lot of times. So more complicated things have to have been sourced internationally. We talk about, techniques like bonding, applying laces. They're just things that we can't do here. We do not have the machinery. And so it's been this really complicated, sourcing where we can in the right places to get the right products.
So do you do China? Do you do Vietnam? All of it?
We source primarily in China, Sri Lanka. We've done stuff in Portugal and in Korea. And Korea was an amazing place for us for a really long time. We had the benefit of importing for Korea, actually duty-free for a very long amount of time, as long as the componentry and the raw materials were made in Korea.
How much of a cost exposure or potential increase are we talking about? And can you give us examples of some of your products?
Yeah, I mean, the last 10 days we've been on the edge of our seats, truly. So, I had a product that was supposed to leave the factory at $38 cost of goods. When we would have landed it, and maybe in January, it would have been a $47, giving me a $180 retail. Right now, it's landing at $111 and a $400 retail, and that's just not sustainable for any consumer.
So, meaning because the cost went up significantly, but you're trying to raise the price even more in order to kind of keep the margin and make it all...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any other small business has any other opportunity other than kind of increasing our costs. So, the question is, how can we, I think we have to probably eat it at this point. We have all these orders. They're ready to go out. We're a golf company, so really heading into the main golf season. So what can we do? We have to eat it. Or we can try to sort of near-shore things, land it in Canada, and then bring them in piecemeal just to manage our, our financials.
And these products, where can we find them? In golf clubs? They wouldn't be in any of the presidents, would they?
They're all over, yeah. Actually, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice wears our stuff. You can find it all over. Golf is primarily an interesting industry. 62% of our products actually are bought on golf course, on facilities where you go to play. And so we're all over at about 400 different clubs. We've partnered also with Golf Galaxy and PGA Superstore in the past, but it's really primarily a wholesale model. So whatever the consumer sees, the real pain of it is that we have to sort of double markup. Right, because we really have to supply to these wholesalers, and that's where the real pain comes from. The end consumer sees the worst of it, but since 62% of our business is in this wholesale business, that's where we really have to cover our margin.
So what do you do now? I mean, because now, okay, there's 10%, like a Sri Lanka that has a 10% tariff. China, of course, now is even higher. So if that's still a major sort, and we don't know for how long this will be the case. Are you ordering product now for kind of later in the year?
We've actually, so the first half of the year, we operated normally. Right now, we're actually just trying to figure out what to do. We had a really productive conversation with our partners in Sri Lanka and in China. And I think what's really great about this whole experience is we've all kind of come together. I think there's a piece of everybody that understands we're in, an unprecedented time. Nobody wants to hurt anybody else's business. So we're talking about moving our production to Sri Lanka, having our Chinese, friends kind of partner with our intellectual property we have in existence there, move it over, dual source. But truly, I think, it's good that this is happening after a COVID world. COVID was a time where we really had to get incredibly nimble and creative. In a way, it was a little bit of a boot camp to where we are now. So I think if you're agile and you can kind of have the cash flow to kind of keep going, this is the only sort of way forward. But there's been all sorts of, I've talked to a lot of apparel CEOs, there's all sorts of interesting ways to kind of fix this.
And other kinds of effects. I mean, you mentioned that even some of the U.S. courses are seeing a drop in Canadian kind of visits or membership, and that's affecting their business and what they're ordering.
We got an email, actually, that one of our clubs that's been a loyal, club of ours has to cancel their $5,000 order. Normally a fall order comes in. It's great. And, she's just not seeing her Canadian, membership return. And that's true pockets of South Carolina, in, the Southwest, in, California. So totally different.
Would you literally pivot or shut down the business at this point, or is that too, too dramatic? I know it's hard talking about your baby, but...
No, it is. And it's hard because it's named after my daughter, and there's this whole, show her how we can, strive. And I think COVID made us really resilient. We're in this place of like, how can we get creative? But we absolutely did. I mean, absolutely had a conversation with my lawyer, my corporate lawyer. And, she got on the call and said, oh my, you're not the only one. I've had this conversation a lot. She's an apparel attorney. And a lot of people are talking about, like, we just can't absorb this margin. It can't happen. You know, we're giving the product away. And the consumer, that jump in price, over time you can get a consumer there, but it's impossible.
We appreciate you sharing it, Megan. I'm very curious, obviously, to see what happens.
Me too.
As we follow the news day by day.